Hi, and welcome to the Otter County Recycling Center. I'm Cedar Walters, Public Information and Education Officer. So we all make some garbage, about 5 pounds a day on average, but it might not seem like a lot, but it really adds up. So over your lifetime, you're going to make the weight of 9 school buses worth of garbage. So doing things like reusing a water bottle or a reusable shopping bag are really good. And then also recycling. So this is where the recycling in Otter County goes after you put it in your bin. So at the Otter County Recycling Center, we see about 9 million pounds of recycling each year that people like you have recycled instead of thrown away, and that's a lot less stuff going to a landfill. So most of the garbage in the United States goes to a landfill, which is like a tomb for your garbage that never goes away. Some of the garbage in Otter County goes to a waste-to-energy facility located in Perham, and there's a great video of that online as well. So let's take a look inside.
After you have done your part by recycling at home or at work, recycling trucks bring all that recycling back to the recycling center. Our drivers have to be really good at backing up because they do it a lot. To empty both bins behind this truck, this driver has to unhitch a trailer, drive through and empty his first bin, put the empty bin on the ground, pull the other full bin off the trailer, drive through and empty that bin, then put that empty back on the trailer, pick up the other empty bin and put it on the truck, and rehitch the trailer before he can head back out to collect more recycling. Phew, that's a lot of work. Okay, almost done. Before our driver heads back out onto the road, he needs to check to make sure the trailer is connected properly and everything is in order. Safety first. When the drivers have a full bin they need to empty, they drive through a part of the recycling center called the tipping floor. The trucks tip the recyclables onto the floor, where it is pushed by a skid steer into different bunkers for the different types of recyclable materials. First to get dumped is paper. You can recycle all kinds of paper, like junk mail, newspapers, magazines, office paper, and boxes from food or beverages. Some of this paper is made into insulation or even toilet paper. The next door opens and plastic is tipped out. All kinds of plastic containers are recyclable, and it goes on to have a new life as recycled plastic lumber. The tipping floor operator reaches up to pull a lever to open the next compartment, and out comes all of the metal recyclables. You can recycle tin, food cans, and aluminum drink cans in our program. Last to get tipped out is glass. The tipping floor operator moves a guard into place to stop the glass from spreading across the floor, and uses a special hook on a handle to pull the last door lever. Glass is really loud, so it's a good thing he was wearing ear protectors. Now that the bin is empty, it will head on down the road to go get filled up with more recycling. Now it's time to clean up this mess before another truck drives through. Our floor operator uses a skid steer and tidies up by pushing all of the recyclable materials into their own bunkers. When the floor is clean, the next truck will come through. Garage doors inside the bunkers allow the recyclables to move onto a conveyor belt on the inside of the building, where we're going in a little bit. Next, we're going to take a closer look at each of the different recyclable materials that come to the recycling center every day.
So we're here on the tipping floor at the recycling center where trucks tip out the recyclable materials into different bunkers. I'm standing in front of a big pile of single sort recycling. and that's a program in Fergus Falls and Perham where recycling different types of materials can be all mixed together in one bin. And people really like this, and it's very convenient for the consumer, but it's a lot less convenient for us because once it's all mixed together, somebody's got to sort it all out. So here at the Otter County Recycling Center, our staff sort recycling by hand. Some of this is sent to a facility where it's sorted by machine and different types of technology. So most of what we do here, our staff, is collect and process recycling so it's ready to be made into a new product. And so we're really fixing mistakes that people make when they recycle because not everything is recyclable. So I'm standing in front of the glass recycling bunker. So across Otter County, people are collecting their recyclables in separate materials and dropping it off for recycling. So people have to separate their recycling into glass, metal, like aluminum and steel cans, plastic, paper, and cardboard. So glass is recyclable an infinite number of times, over and over forever, if it makes its way into a recycling bin. So we recycle enough glass in Otter County to make over 2 million new glass bottles each year, but again, you need to put it in the bin for that to happen. So now I'm standing in front of the metal recycling bunker. This is full of pop cans, beer cans, food cans, any kind of metal can that you get food or drink in can be recycled. The sad thing is only about half of the metal cans in our country are recycled. So we throw away about $700 million worth of aluminum every year because people don't recycle it. They throw it away instead. So if you take that extra step to recycle it, metal, just like glass, can be recycled infinitely, forever and ever, over and over, if it makes its way into the recycling bin. And it has economic value, so let's not throw that away. I can see some mistakes in here though. People often think that scrap metal is recyclable in the metal bin, and it's just not. So I see some scrap metal in there. I also see a lot of bags. People want to bag their recycling to keep it together, but all those bags need to be ripped open by hand at the recycling center, taking up staff time, hiding dangerous objects. So we really want you to keep your recycling clean, dry, and loose. We recycle enough aluminum cans in Otter County to make 6 million new pop cans every single year. So keep recycling. Now I'm standing in front of the plastic recycling bunker where all the plastic gets dumped out. Now we see a ton of plastic. There's not much here because our staff is working really hard to sort plastic items today. And plastic is probably one of the most confusing items to recycle. People often wish cycle plastic items. They put it in the bin hoping it'll be recyclable, even if it's not. If it's not recyclable, we have to pull it out by hand and it becomes garbage because it wasn't recyclable in the first place. So we see all kinds of plastic that are recyclable. Any plastic container numbered 1 through 7 can go into the recycling bin for our recycling program. All of this is shipped out to be made into recycled plastic lumber in Minnesota and in Iowa, so it really stays in our area. And we recycle enough plastic in Otter County to make over 4,000 recycled plastic lumber park benches every single year. So it's really great, but we really don't want to see bagged recycling. Bummer for our staff. Styrofoam, really big bulky items like storage totes or lawn chairs, and bubble wrap. That's another no-no. Well, this is a lot of paper. I don't think I've ever seen it this full of paper. So you can recycle all kinds of paper in Otter County, including magazines, newspapers, office paper, food and beverage cartons, and it really all adds up. So it may not seem like a big deal when you put one little thing in your bin, but it really adds up. So we recycle enough paper in Otter County to save over 15,000 mature trees, because all of this stuff comes from natural resources, and we want to make sure we save those natural resources. We don't want to throw them away. We want to save them, recycle them, reuse them, and just even prevent waste from happening in the first place.
A separate truck gathers up cardboard from all over the county from recycling sites and over 200 businesses. This truck opens up and dumps an entire day's worth of collected cardboard all at once. Each year, we collect enough cardboard for recycling that it could make over 10 million new pizza boxes. If I was a cardboard box, that is what I would want to be. Cardboard is very strong, so it can be recycled around 15 times. Now we're headed to the processing floor where the recycling gets cleaned up and ready to be shipped out. Cardboard goes through this big baler where it is pressed into 2,000-pound bales. Thick wires hold them together. The other recyclables are pushed from the tipping floor through a door and travel along conveyor belts to get to the main sort line. This is where staff remove trash, bags, and other contaminants from the recycling. People make mistakes when they recycle, so it is important to fix those mistakes so that the recycling can go on to have a new life as a new product. Each person on the sort line has a different job. Some staff rip open bags of recycling. Other staff pull off big items like pieces of cardboard that were put into the wrong bin. 1 or 2 people look for garbage that shouldn't be there. When something needs to be removed or sorted out from the other material on the conveyor belt, staff throw it down a chute into a big metal cage below the platform. Our staff work really hard to make sure the recycling is clean, and they have to put up with some yucky stuff to do it. Often people think something is recyclable when it really isn't. Things like bubble wrap or plastic bags are not recyclable, but people think they are. Some things staff find really are just garbage. Gross things like dirty paper towels, paper plates, diapers, or old food really aren't recyclable. So please do our staff a favor and only put the real recycling in the recycling bin. The processing floor operator is always hard at work too, whether he is loading the baler with cardboard, paper, or cans, using a forklift to stack bales of recycled material, or supplying staff with empty cages below the sorting line. He needs to keep everything going smoothly to make sure staff can do their jobs right. Once the recycling is cleaned up and made into bales, the bales are stacked and stored until we have enough to ship out. A forklift loads up semi-trailers with the recycling, and it is sent off to different manufacturing facilities to get made into new stuff. Most people do a good job of recycling, but some people don't recycle at all. You can protect the planet by making sure you recycle at home, at school, and at work.
So recycling helps reduce waste, but it also makes a lot of useful new products, like this picnic table. This picnic table is made out of recycled plastic lumber. So recycling really helps give your waste a new life. So recycling is a really great thing to do to reduce waste, but some things in your garbage can't be recycled. I don't recommend putting a banana peel or an apple core or a piece of moldy bread in your recycling bin, but nature recycles too. So here at the recycling center, we have some very friendly decomposers that we keep around to eat scraps from our lunchroom. These are composting redworms, and as you see, they're in a special house. They're not native to Minnesota. They don't usually live around here. They wouldn't do very well in the winter. So we keep them in a house, and it keeps them contained. Just like a worm you might find in your garden, they like it wet, damp, and above freezing ideally. So we keep them in the house so they don't dry out. And I will look. So there will be food scraps in here. We're just gonna take a peek in our worm house. So in the top layer, there's a bunch of shredded newspaper, which is called bedding. That's gonna keep the worms covered, keep them damp, and it's gonna prevent any pests from getting at the food scraps that are in here. So worms like to eat anything that's mushy. And so they're a decomposer, and other decomposers like bacteria or insects help break down the food to make it really mushy, because a worm has no teeth. It can't take a bite out of that apple core. Let's take a look. So if I'm taking up some of their covering here, I see some moldy orange peels, a leftover banana peel, nice and mushy, which the worms will really like. Let's find a spot that has more worms. Here we go. So the worms are recycling with their bodies, and what's left over after they digest the food scraps or any organic matter is called castings. It's a great fertilizer, and that's what's left over after all this stuff is recycled, like nature recycles. So there's some food scraps up here. Let's take a look in a different layer of the worm house. I think these worms need another snack. I'll have to feed them some more food scraps later. So I've put more dry paper in this layer to soak up some excess moisture. There's a bigger clump of worms. As you can see, they don't like the light, so they will try and dive down under the dirt and under their bedding to escape. They want to stay nice and dark and moist. Sometimes you'll see really tiny worms in the worm bin, and that's because as the worms grow, they lay eggs and new baby worms hatch. So if I feed them a lot of food, they'll have babies and make more worms. They will even eat up the shredded newspaper in the bin because paper is just from a plant. So anything that's from a plant, the worms will eat. Let's get a nice close-up. So I'm wearing gloves to protect the worms from anything on my hands that they might not like. A worm bin like this could probably compost the food scraps of one family, but we just use it for our lunchroom scraps here. Okay, we'll cover up the worms. They don't like being out in the open. Let's take a look at one more layer. Oh, there's a lot of worms in this layer. So they're just busy recycling all kinds of plant stuff. So if you wanted to get worms at home, to compost your food scraps at home, you could do that. What you wouldn't want to put in your worm bin is anything greasy or anything with meat or dairy, like cheese or yogurt. That would just make the worm house really stinky, and the worms wouldn't like it very much. So we'll put the worms back to bed, but you can compost in your backyard in a compost bin, or if you wanted to keep some worms as pets like we do, you could compost at home too. Here at the recycling center, we like to make composting fun. This is our compost bin from the break room. It has some delicious fruit peels in there. Perfect for decomposers to break down into new dirt. So once you've collected some food scraps in a pail, you can either feed them to your composting worms, like we just looked at, or you can compost at home in a backyard bin. Now, most any old bin will do, but here at the recycling center, we have a compost ball. Once you've got your food scraps and dry leaves layered into a compost bin, you need to mix it up once in a while. But you know what's more fun than using a pitchfork? Rolling a ball. This makes composting more fun and a workout. All right, now that my compost is mixed, I'm gonna go collect some more food scraps. So now we're in our Household Hazardous Waste Facility. The Household Hazardous Waste Program accepts chemical products or hazardous products from homes for free disposal. This helps protect our drinking water and human health and wildlife by stopping chemicals from entering our environment. the things that come here, you don't want to put in your garbage, you also don't want to put in your recycling bin. They have a proper place, and it's at Household Hazardous Waste. So the things that we accept here would be paint, stain, cleaner, varnish, any kind of thing with a chemical property. So here, for example, you could look for items with signal words on them in your home that might be hazardous, and you would want to bring them here for safe disposal. This product has the signal word caution on it. These are things you wouldn't want to get on your skin or definitely ingest. You wouldn't want to ingest them. This one says warning. This product says danger. And this product says poison. So these signal words indicate that they have chemicals in them that might be harmful to you, so you want to dispose of them properly. Fluorescent light bulbs are also hazardous. They contain mercury vapor that we don't want to get into our drinking water or into the environment. So all fluorescent light bulbs should be brought to Household Hazardous Waste. These actually go into a special machine to be recycled, and the machine sucks out and captures the mercury vapor so it doesn't get into the environment. Lots of batteries, especially rechargeable batteries, are hazardous. They can contain lithium, which is actually a flammable metal when it's exposed to air and water vapor. So fires have actually been started at recycling and waste facilities because lithium batteries get run over by equipment and can actually cause a fire. So this is a laptop battery you might see. You don't want to put a laptop battery or a cell phone battery in the garbage because they could cause a fire. Most people are familiar with something like this. Again, this contains a rechargeable lithium-ion battery that should never go in the garbage. Other common batteries that might be hazardous would be button batteries. Some of these are also lithium and shouldn't be put in the garbage. You might have seen one of these before too. It goes on the bottom of a power tool or a drill. These can also be brought to Household Hazardous Waste. If it's rechargeable, it's recyclable in Household Hazardous Waste. And because it's way better to reuse something than to throw it away, anything we get at Household Hazardous Waste that's still a usable product, for example, a good can of paint, can actually be picked up for free by the public in our reuse area. So in our reuse area, we have a range of lawn and garden chemicals, automotive products, oil, all kinds of stuff. Stain, paint, cleaners. So if you need any of those projects or products for a small remodeling project or something around the house, you can come in and pick them up for free because we really want to see stuff used, not thrown away.
Thank you for learning about the Otter County Recycling Center. We can all do our part to make less trash and help the world be a better place.